it's
Good morning to you.
Heather Gold. I'm back in Oakland from after a week in Toronto, sitting Shiva for my beloved Aunt Sandy. So I start with a little tip of my mug to my aunt. I don't have any delicious cream cheese brownies or anything that would make me think of her more here with me, but I will virtually imagine delicious baked goods.
I'm Katie Halper in New York City, back on the Upper East Side from last time you saw me on the Upper West Side.
Also, I'd say this week's episode can also be sent out to Winona Laura Ryder Horowitz. Winona Horowitz, everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
That is Winona, right?
She could have kept it.
Could have kept it. And I'm going to throw out, this is going to be my debut of the of my I Can't Believe They're Not Jewish feature.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I'm going to offer you this week Alan Alda.
Alan Alda. God, shocking.
Shocking.
You'd like to claim him. What can you do?
Yeah.
Is he circumcised? We can ask him when we get him on.
Why are you assuming that I don't know that firsthand?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that why he's you can't? That's maybe why you can't believe he's not a Jew.
Yeah, exactly. And then I rolled over the next morning when he told me. I was in shock.
So today we're back. There's a lot that's happened. It's been kind of an intense time for the Jews in the last couple of weeks. First of all, super mega billionaire Tom Perkins, co-founder of Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Byers, which is really like the oldest school of the venture capital firms here in the Bay Area, decided to write an op-ed piece to the Wall Street Journal. And according to Mark Andreessen, founder of Netscape, remember Netscape, the original browser, and now venture capitalist himself, according to him, Tom Perkins was inspired by a commentary piece that ran in the San Francisco newspaper about his ex-wife Danielle Steele and her hedge. She put a big hedge in front of her house because she didn't want anyone looking. Is that a
euphemism for a dirty word when you refer to her hedge?
Her hedge. He's still caught up about her hedge. He's never let it go. He was enraged by that, apparently, and some other protests that have happened, and he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, which ran the op-ed, which is just as mashugana as this op-ed, which said that the 1%, i.e. the wealthiest Americans, of which he's one, are now just like the Jews in Nazi Germany, and it's like Kristillnacht is happening, and you need to watch out because they're being persecuted. Anyway, Tom Perkins is incredibly freaked out, and he's the guy who's now decided to make the rich into the newest group of identity politics.
They're this subclass. They're the subclass. They're subhuman. We dehumanize them.
They've been oppressed, and they've objectified.
Much like the Jews who were killed. Just like there were, I have the numbers somewhere, 91 Jews killed and 30,000 Jews imprisoned. Much like that, we know the numbers are similar with the number of billionaires killed and imprisoned.
At least that many hedges that have been made fun of.
Hedges.
And maybe 45 Burberry coats mocked, possibly.
It's true. And who knows how many have been put to sleep out of fear of wearing them in public.
How many couldn't get opera tickets?
I don't even know.
It just
I don't want to
think
about it.
Winter.
I don't want to think about it. Yeah.
It's tough times, and there's not enough Teslas to go around.
And at first they came for the 1%, right. But I didn't say anything because they didn't actually do anything bad to the 1%. So there's nothing for me to say.
Right.
One of the reasons it's bad for the Jews is because he basically doesn't realize that he's being Hitlerian in his analysis, because he says the Jews were the 1%, meaning that they were the rich ones who had all the power. Go around saying it's like Kristallnacht, what's happening to the Occupazis. I like to call them the Occupazis.
Look at
Tom
that.
Perkins inspired me to call them that. Also, just a quick note, he's really concerned with like the menaces of the 99%. Do you know that he was convicted on a manslaughter charge because his yacht, which is he has, I think, the world's largest yacht called the Maltese Falcon, and it killed someone. It killed someone.
How did he kill someone with a yacht?
How do you kill someone with a yacht? You run them over, I guess.
You drop hors d'oeuvres on that?
Yeah, I know. You put a champagne bottle over to the head.
You were trying to christen the thing, and someone got in the way. I don't know. How do you kill someone with a yacht in the water?
He was burning money. He was burning his money, and then there was he choked. Smoke inhalation. The guy died of smoke inhalation.
It. So you think he's bad for the Jews because he's in his memorializing of what happened in Nazi Germany, he's presuming it was because Jews were as wealthy and controlling as he was.
He's right. He's 1%ing us.
Well, it's the classic victimization of people in power, right?
Right.
Oh God, we're so oppressed. We don't run anything because we still feel so scared and victim-y.
Right.
It must
but
be
he's
your
not
fault,
Jewish, right?
Else. Perkins, the name like Perkins, a full head of silver hair, and he has a yacht. The Jew would never get the yacht out of the boat, Larry. They did maybe have a brunch. They'd have a function on the yacht. It wouldn't go anywhere. Have a function on it.
Yeah, right, exactly. A non-mobile, a stationary yacht.
It would be named like Farfel Yacht or something. I mean, not Maltese Falcon. No, I mean.
Right. But it's funny because
he is a billionaire or was a billionaire. Who knows how much he has now, and worked in finance. So
I'm sure that he could pass for Jew. You know what? Shonda of the week is the Wall Street Journal. I'm just going to say it for publishing that. Their reporting is actually somewhat good, but their editorials are always horrendous.
It's one thing to have a horrendous editorial, but this is sort of a new level, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Does the Wall Street Journal have a single Jew that works on the editorial board?
Oh, I don't know. I assume so, but so that maybe they can't even be the Shonda.
In his follow-up email interviews, he said the way to make things better is to lower taxes and stop regulation. That is oppressing.
Basically, taxes are the Auschwitz of the 1%.
Absolutely. In fact, when you get
because they're making them work more.
When you get your 1040 when it comes to your house. They send, when you're in the 1%, they send someone to shave your body, put the hair in a pillow, take all the
gold filling.
Yeah, check out your dental.
They tattoo 1040 on your
whatever
arm.
Your social security number is right there.
Right there. Goes right there.
For sure. Then they make a little patch for you to wear. They at least
with a dollar sign on it. With a dollar sign.
They make it out of dollars. They make it out of $100
dollar patch.
They sew it into your skin, and then they make you walk around in public while everyone mocks you and pours bad Bud Light and PBR and eats Velveeta around you. That's the humiliation that they have to face.
Right.
It's pretty bad. I love how people want to be like the Jews, though. I mean, part of what's amazing to me, Sarah Palin did this too, right? Didn't she do the whole blood libel, remember, after Gabby Giffords was shot? Well, Tom Perkins wants to be a Jew. So I'd say it's good for the Jews in the sense that anybody else would, especially with any kind of power money, would say, yeah, that's something I want to be. Except the worst thing about being, like, the part of being Jewish you don't want to be is the part where everyone wants to kill you. And that takes us right into the Grammys, because when you want to talk about people deciding that victimization or that oppression is a hot ticket item to start talking about, you can't really get any smoother a transition than this year's Grammys, which were at the Staples Center recently. And one of the record of the year, I believe, and certainly a big performance in the middle of the show, was Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I think Mary Lambert sings with them on this track, doing his huge hit,
Same Love. One good thing about it. Right.
And
she's a real live gay.
She is.
Right.
He is mostly not, and he's a white hip-hop artist. And in the middle of the piece, they decided to have Queen Latifah come out. They were going to marry 33 couples of different racial and gender mixes right there in the middle of the number to show how awesome marriage equality is. Kind of incredible. They picked a closeted lesbian to come out and do that in the middle next to the white hip-hop guy. It's kind of like you can only do something if you can. The big Jew is Tom Perkins. The big gay out advocate in the closet is Queen Latifah. The uplift of the number is near the end, just as Queen Latifah is getting to her big exclamation, and I now pronounce you. In the middle of that, which is literally the last sentence, Madonna decides to make her entrance, I presume early, into the number in a white Colonel Sanders outfit with a cowboy hat and a cane.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of the white Colonel Sanders.
And a face that looked definitely like it's, at least I've been ironed a few times.
Yeah.
Esther, to those on Morning Jew, Kabbalistic Madonna.
And she still has gold teeth, right?
Oh, yeah. And I believe. And a black kid and British accent. Macklemore, good for the Jews. I mean, this man I grew up with from my little shtetl in Niagara Falls just died last week or after my aunt. And I just got an email from him. He had a New York Times obituary, which kind of blew my mind. He's from this little, my community was like 40 people. I saw this guy constantly.
That's like making it like being a doc. That's like for a Jewish mother, you don't want to think about your son dying, but it's kind of like being a doctor, having an obit in the New York Times. Those are big.
Irving Milchberg, first of all, the best name of all time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He was the guy who brought you to your seat in shul. Anyway, turns out he was this big hero of the Warsaw Ghetto.
I read the story.
It's an incredible story. Honestly, it's worth its own thing. He was one of like 10 to 15 Jewish kids who pretended to not be Jewish because he was blonde haired and blue eyed, and sold cigarettes in the middle of the main square of Warsaw while the Nazis were occupying it. They could have been shot in any minute.
And smuggled arms. They said that he would put guns in loaves of bread.
Right. Part of the reason I'm mentioning Irving in the contrast to our Tom Perkins, Shonda Wall Street Journal Grammy moment. And by the way, the Grammys were terrible for the Jews for every reason we just went through. Because of all this crazy, let's pretend there's some like oppression when there isn't. I didn't know this about Irving till I got this email today. Irving is dead. Okay, but Irving did this incredible thing. Did he ever talk about it? He never said anything about it. I didn't know he'd lived through the Holocaust. I didn't know
That's pretty non-Jewish.
He escaped from a couple of concentration camps.
I mean, oh my God, I was reading it. It's almost like a comedy. He's like, then he broke out of this train, but then then the other train was stalled, so he broke out of that window. Then he pretended to be a Polish Christian. He made it like 4 times.
This is a guy who lived in my tiny little town in the middle of nowhere, and there was absolutely no getting married in the Staples Center on TV. Like, there was no moment of, hey, everybody, you all need to know how bad it is for me. Meanwhile, he's
our mensch of the week. He's our
mensch of the decade, of the year. He's a hero. He's a true hero. Meanwhile, Tom Perkins has got to tell you how oppressed he is.
Right.
And then as soon as marriage equality makes some headway, now, to give her credit, Madonna, Esther, has done a lot of advocacy on this issue, for sure. She was a very out gay ally when there were not a lot of them. And so I give her major props, even if her face needs also props. Maybe the props could help the face.
With
saying
Irving.
that's what made the Grammy event bad for the Jews.
That it was what?
That in order to be an advocate for an issue, you had to not be part of
got it, right.
or not.
There were no out gay people on the stage.
People can't speak for themselves, you know?
Okay. So that's bad, I see, because that's actually empowering Perkinses.
Yes, it's saying need to pretend you are not what you are, and you know. Although I have to say, Madonna, she throws me the whole thing because
she is an ally. She walks the walk.
She's a Jewish anti-gay ally.
With a cane.
She became a little gay and a little Jewish.
A Bissell a Jew, a Bissell a gay.
She's a Bissell. That'd be a good new name for her.
Bissell. This guy Perkins isn't Jewish, and he uses a Kristillnacht thing. Irving is not only Jewish, but actually a survivor. And he
helped fight for the resistance.
And he helped fight the resistance. So he's a survivor and a fighter. If I were him, I would be like waiting online in a deli. I'd be like, excuse me, I'm going to go to the head of the line because I don't know if you know, but this about me, but I was part of the resistance. Thank you very much. Like, he has so much license and he doesn't use it. And then you have Perkins, who's not even a Jew.
Right. And our final story about holding on to something, Denmark and Sweden have banned non-medical circumcision of boys. And I'm still not 100% clear if this is just from doctors. For sure, doctors favor this ban. So they won't do it, I guess. I'm not sure if these are from their legislatures or not.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that, at least in Denmark, it was followed by, I think, the death of a Muslim boy after a botched circumcision.
At 10, but he was older. So what they're saying is that that it should only happen if a boy's reached the age 12 and given his consent. So they don't want non-consensual bodily invasions. And I think this is really significant because for the Jews, well, one, obviously it makes having traditional Jewish circumcision not possible or incredibly difficult in these places. But I think this could happen for sure in other places in North America. I mean, it seems to me to make sense as a progressive law that would start getting passed around. And I researched circumcision a ton because when I was in law school,
there was a sanitary concern with it. And it's true, like when you're in the trenches, like in World War I, where they got a lot of data, you can't wash a lot, you get more infections, and you get STDs, you hold on to them more when you're not circumcised.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's why Jews started doing it.
No,
because of the health.
That is not why Jews started doing it. No.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we're going to put the word out to our audience. Everything I've read says that is an anachronistic wish fulfillment. That's like saying Jews didn't eat certain animals because it was health. These are religious considerations. They're just right up there with separating, cotton and linen. They're in the same parts of the Bible.
Well, I find that when I wear mixed fabrics, I get a little itchy. So that's a health issue. A little chafe.
The person who does the circumcising is called a moil. And Jewish ritual, and often they're not a doctor. Sometimes they can be,
right.
But anyway, these laws in Sweden and Denmark also say that you can't, you have to be a doctor, you have to be trained, which would sort of be an out-of-work thing for the moils. And the thing is, it's not like moils do it for the money. Like, the tips are great.
The tips.
Not so much for the money.
Cutting off the tips?
Yes, bada bing. It's an oldie but a goodie.
So you're saying that it shouldn't be done at all?
I think it shouldn't be done, although I'd say if you're going to have European countries impose it, that's a pretty terrible way for it to happen because, of course, the history of Jews in Europe is a really shitty history. I mean, it's not like Europe's got a history of let's make some laws that are only really going to affect Jews and they'll feel good about it. Although they've managed to hit, in this case, the Europeans have managed to hit a law that basically is about Muslims and Jews together.
Right, I know. So maybe it's good for the Jews and Muslims because it's going to unite us in their opposition.
One can only hope.
You're hurting my phantom penis. My phantom penis is aching right now because of what you're saying. My phantom penis is definitely circumcised.
Did you had a circumcision?
Yeah, but it was in the hospital, not in a.
Was it
not by a moil. Phantom circumcision by a phantom doctor. Oh. Patch Adams came. Ay, phantom penises. Anyway, all right. So we both are ironically in agreement, although for different reasons, that this is good for the Jews. We're going to get a lot of hate mail. We didn't announce our hate mail. Next episode, we got to talk about it.
It's true.
Huge step.
All right, listen. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Good to see you, too. And I'm sorry about your aunt.
Thanks. Me too.
She sounded like a great lady.
She was the best. All right.
So we should dedicate this episode to her.
I did at the top. Auntie Sandy, the best.
Auntie Sandy.
Oh, my God. I have to say, Shiva is one of the smart Jewish ideas. Good idea, people.